As we age, our bodies change, and so does our personal style. One of the most noticeable changes is our hairstyle. But is our hair still suited to our age? We don't have to give up on style as we get older, but there are some hairstyles that may not work as well once we reach 60. In this article, I'll go over 5 hairstyles women over 60 should consider avoiding. But don't worry, instead of just pointing out the issues, ILL offers some great alternatives that will help you maintain an elegant, confident, and modern look. Beauty has no age, but sometimes our hairstyle needs to evolve to better complement our face and lifestyle today. 1. Helmet hair. Why it's time to move on and what to try instead. Helmet hair is that stiff, overstyled, voluminous look that's practically cemented in place. It's the hairstyle that doesn't move, doesn't breathe, and definitely doesn't feel natural. Once a staple of the 80s and 90s, it's now an outdated look that adds unnecessary weight and doesn't do justice to the modern, confident woman. As we grow older, our hairstyle should bring out the natural elegance of our features, not hide them under layers of hairspray and stiff curls. The problem with helmet hair is that it makes the face look heavier and lacks the soft, graceful flow that should define our look as we mature. It doesn't add life to the face, it actually detracts from it. What once might have felt glamorous or sophisticated now just looks stuck in time, unable to keep up with our current style and energy. If you're still holding on to helmet hair, it might be time for a change. A softer, more natural style like a gentle bob with layers can make a world of difference. This modern cut is youthful yet polished, flattering without being overdone. It adds movement to your hair, which not only lightens your appearance, but also highlights your cheekbones and gives your face a softer, fresher look. A bob with soft layers is easy to manage, and you can achieve volume without the stiffness. A round brush and a blow-dry will give you all the lift you need while keeping the hair touchable and natural. This style adds youthful energy to your look, helping you feel both confident and current. It's time to let go of the helmet hair and embrace something that flows with your lifestyle today. If you've ever felt that your hairstyle no longer reflects who you are or doesn't align with your evolving style, consider making this simple change. A new haircut doesn't have to be drastic, but it can make a huge impact on how you feel and how others see you. A fresh, effortless look can bring a sense of renewal, and the best part is, it doesn't require you to go back in time, it just needs to be updated for who you are now. 2. Ultra short boy cut. Why it might not be the best choice for you. An ultra short boy cut is a popular choice for those looking for a low-maintenance, easy-to-style hairstyle. However, this cut can often feel too harsh and lacks the softness that many women prefer as they age. The extreme shortness and lack of texture in the cut can make the face appear too rigid, losing the natural femininity that many women desire. While short hair can be beautiful and modern, cutting it too short and without a soft structure can make the face seem sharp and lacking in depth. An ultra-short boy cut can flatten the natural contours of the face, making you look more rigid than radiant, which can feel a bit off-putting as we age. It doesn't highlight the softness and elegance that comes with more mature features, which is why this style might not be the best choice for every woman. If you love short hair but want to maintain a soft, feminine look, consider trying a pixie cut instead. A pixie cut with gentle volume at the crown and soft layers around the face can create a more flattering, youthful look. The right pixie cut adds movement to the hair, making the face appear more delicate and graceful while still being easy to manage and low maintenance. The key to a flattering pixie is balance. You want some length on top to give the hair a bit of volume and dimension, while keeping the sides shorter for an edgy, fresh look. This style can bring out your natural features in a way that feels fresh and vibrant, without making you look too severe. A soft pixie cut is the perfect alternative if you're seeking a modern, stylish look that still feels youthful and natural. It's a subtle yet impactful change that lets you embrace short hair while maintaining the softness and femininity that makes you feel confident and beautiful. 3. Long hair without life. Why it might be time for change. Long, straight hair with no volume or shape can often give off a tired and lifeless vibe. When there's no natural movement or texture to your hair, it can drag your face down, making you look older and lacking in energy. Without some bounce or shape, long hair can feel heavy and one-dimensional, highlighting areas like sagging around the chin or neck that you might prefer to keep subtle. A lack of volume and movement can make the face appear longer, drawing attention to areas you might not want to emphasize. This type of hair simply doesn't reflect the youthful, dynamic energy you might want to project, and instead, it can leave you looking worn out and without the fresh, vibrant appeal you deserve. Instead of keeping long, lifeless hair, consider a long bob lob as a perfect alternative. A lob that hits just around the shoulders with subtle volume at the crown can add movement and dimension, bringing a fresh and modern look to your face. The lob style helps lift the face without making it look heavy or tired, offering a much-needed update without sacrificing the length you love. A lob is easy to maintain and can be styled in many ways, allowing you to keep a youthful look while adding texture and energy to your hair. It enhances your natural features, giving your face a soft, graceful appearance and making you look rejuvenated and lively. If your long hair is starting to feel stagnant or lackluster, switching to a lob could be the simple change you need to refresh your look. It's an easy, stylish upgrade that will make you feel more vibrant and youthful without losing the length you enjoy. Four, straight bangs. Why they might not be the best choice. Straight bangs, though neat and tidy, can often be too harsh and heavy, making the face appear shorter and lacking in depth. The sharp line of bangs across the forehead can create a stiff, rigid look that doesn't allow the face to breathe. While straight bangs might seem clean and organized at first, over time they can make the face look less youthful and more closed off. As we age, the straight bangs that once worked so well might no longer suit us. Instead of softening the features, they can accentuate the sharpness of the face and even make the eyes appear smaller. This style, though classic, tends to lack the flexibility that older women need in their hairstyles, something softer and more fluid to complement their features. If you're tired of your straight bangs and feel like they no longer highlight your natural beauty, try longer, side-swept bangs or bangs that are parted to the side. These alternatives create a softer, more natural frame for the face, offering a fresher, more modern look. Side-swept bangs in particular help elongate the face, drawing attention to the eyes and creating a more balanced, youthful appearance. Longer side-swept bangs not only add softness to your face but are also more versatile, blending seamlessly with different hairstyles. This style will give you a youthful, refreshed look without the heaviness and stiffness of traditional straight bangs. If you feel that your current bangs are weighing you down, this subtle change could make a world of difference. Switching to longer, side-swept bangs can help your face feel more open, balanced, and natural, letting your features shine without being overly rigid. It's a simple yet impactful way to refresh your style and embrace a softer, more modern look. 5. Overstyled hair. Why it's time to keep it simple. Overstyled hair with too much product or excessive styling can make your hair look stiff and lifeless. When hair is overdone with too much heat, curl, or heavy styling products like hairspray or gel, it loses its natural movement and becomes rigid. This kind of hairstyle feels like it's frozen in time, lacking the flexibility and natural beauty that a more mature woman might want to showcase. The problem with overstyled hair is that it creates a sense of stiffness and makes the face look harder. It can give off the impression that you're trying too hard to look younger, rather than embracing the confidence and elegance that come with age. Overly styled hair can actually make you look older because it doesn't reflect the fresh, natural beauty that most women want to highlight. A much better alternative is a more natural, effortless look. Try soft waves or gentle styling with a bit of light styling cream or wax to create volume without making your hair stiff. This will give your hair a natural bounce and make it look fuller, without the heavy, unnatural look of overstyled hair. Soft, textured hair feels fresh and modern, adding volume and shape without sacrificing ease. Embracing a more natural style can instantly make you look more relaxed and youthful. With a subtle elegance that doesn't try too hard. Let your hair move naturally and show off its true beauty. It'll make all the difference in your overall style. 6. Changing your hairstyle can bring numerous benefits. Not only can it make you look younger, but it also boosts your confidence and adds an element of sophistication. Modern styles like the bob, pixie, and lob are great for highlighting your natural facial features without hiding your beauty. These hairstyles offer a fresh, soft, and flexible look, making you feel more confident and stylish in any situation. Switching up your hairstyle doesn't just refresh your look, it can also make you feel more comfortable in your daily life. The right hairstyle reflects your personal style and gives you confidence in any setting. Choosing a modern cut can enhance your sense of self-worth without the need to try and look younger. True beauty comes from embracing your age with confidence and grace. Have you ever felt like your current hairstyle no longer matches your style? Trying a new cut, like a bob or lob, could shift the way you view yourself and leave you feeling younger and more confident. A simple change in hairstyle can help you discover a modern, elegant version of yourself. With just a small change, you'll notice a huge difference in both your appearance and how confident you feel. We don't need to chase trends or try to look younger as we age. Instead, we should embrace hairstyles that reflect confidence and maturity. Your hairstyle should express who you are now, not who you were in the past. Don't be afraid of change. Let your hair showcase the beauty, grace, and elegance that come with age. Try a new hairstyle to refresh your look and elevate your style. You deserve a look that's not only youthful but also full of confidence. Don't hesitate to make those subtle changes because beauty knows no age.